Okay, sorry, I'm multitasking. And here we go. These are your children's, most of them, some are off team, but the Diamond team teachers. They are all the advisory teachers except for Mrs. Shu. She teaches in periods 1 and 2 and then goes over to Hall. And I do not have an advisory this year as I oversee all advisories and help out where I can. So this slide was shared with you in the beginning of the year, and we were able to add Mrs. Shu if your child takes Chinese. So you can see a lot of happy, smiling faces. We love doing what we do. Your children have been so kind, and it's been a great start. So tonight's format will be from 6:30 to about 7:10, our large group presentation, where we will go over explaining some logistics about the year and some of the curriculum as well. Okay, and then at about 7:20 in your email will be a Google form. If you would just kindly fill that out, it's like 4 questions. And the last question being super important because you might think of a question that you weren't able to ask us, and you can type it in and we will see all of your questions tomorrow morning. There's also at the end going to be breakout rooms for smaller group settings. So team logistics are Chromebooks, and I am going to let
that would be me, Mrs. Paulus.
Miss UP take the wheel.
Welcome, I'm Jenny Canowith. Your child probably knows me most as Miss UP. Chromebooks are housed in 4 teachers' classrooms, and they're assigned a Chromebook here at school. They start the day by picking up their Chromebook as soon as they come in, and they return it at the end of the day to the same location. They're not to go home with them unless it's a assigned school one that can go back and forth to home. And please remind your child to hold the Chromebook with 2 hands and handle it with care. In the cafeteria, they are not to go on the computer until their food has been finished and their drink has been finished as well. And it's solely used just for school purposes. No gaming, please. Save that for home.
Excellent. We have been noticing a lot of gaming, so we would totally appreciate you helping us in telling them that is not appropriate for school. Diamond Team Morning Advisory, Miss Minogue.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn Minogue. I teach Spanish, and I have an advisory on the Diamond Team as well. We meet every day with our morning advisory between 2nd and 3rd period, and it's maybe a little less formal than a regular class, and it's a way to sort of check in with the teacher outside of an academic setting. And we have a chance to take our masks off and have a snack if we choose to. We do things like check PowerSchool and check in with other teachers and sort of learn how to do that sort of connecting with people at KP and how to get things done there, learn that kind of thing. Sometimes we play games. On Wednesdays, we also have social emotional learning lessons and social justice lessons. And we have some great 8th graders that come and lead some fun activities with the kids. The kids really like and enjoy that. We're also talking about, you see the graphic here for the Vision of the Graduate, which is a West Hartford Public Schools initiative, and you'll hear a lot more about that. It's what we expect that when a student graduates from West Hartford Public Schools, the skills and traits that they will have in place, and we will help them achieve. So already in 6th grade, we're starting to talk about that. You can ask your students about that. We started it this week. And it's a big topic, and your kids are really big thinkers, and it's been great to chat with them about it. We'll also be reaching out to you as advisors to schedule conferences that your students will be leading, but we will help facilitate. And you'll hear about that maybe end of November and end of October, early November.
That's me. Hi, I'm Cynthia Asel. I'm the social studies teacher. For our daily expectations, they're asked to have everything that they need for class, so they don't need to leave. All materials, something to write with, their binder, any folders, assignments, to have an independent reading book with them at all times. There will be nightly homework. Typically, it's assigned in class, so they can get started in class if they have any questions. And then if they don't complete it there, then they have some time to complete it at home. It's not always due the next day, but there are times that it is due the next day. So I know in social studies, I frequently give them several days. So it's also a way for them to learn how to manage their time. The best thing that you can do and that your child can do is check the homework document in the Google Homework Classroom. All of their assignments are listed there. So you can see every assignment that's due and when it is due. And the code is right there if you need to join. So in addition to that, our expectations, good behavior, and a positive attitude daily.
And again, for those parents that are just joining us, this is being recorded. So you can watch this at your leisure. It'll be the link to this whole presentation will be placed in my Friday email tomorrow afternoon. PowerSchool and Google Classroom. And I'm Mrs. Paulus, Marnie Paulus, team leader and science teacher. I forgot to say that in the beginning, my apologies. I will be discussing PowerSchool and Google Classroom. So PowerSchool is basically, think back to when you were in middle school and your teachers carried around, it was either a magenta or a green or a black book-like notebook where they would pencil in your grades. Basically, that's what that is, but online. And you have access to it and your children have access to it. So we do enter grades. Some teachers do it once a week. They keep the old-fashioned pencil paper as they change often and they'll add them in once a week. Some update it every 3 days. Some update it the second they get a paper. Some wait because they have to grade it over the weekend. So give it time. We tell the students they must check once a week. Typically pick one day, check it on a Monday, check it on a Wednesday, check it on a Friday, but just one day. We do have access to see when they're checking. We also have access to see when parents are checking. So I wouldn't say it's good to check it every single day. That might stress yourself out. That might stress the student out. And grades close mid-November, I believe, and our grades will be fluid up until then. If a child wants to rework an assignment and the teacher allows it, it depends on the different class policies as well. If we allow a retake on a quiz, because the student was upset and wants to prove that they can better themselves. So grades are fluid until they're not, and then they get locked in. And that's usually 24 to 36 hours before it gets posted on a report card. Okay. We definitely encourage the students at this age. It's a great age to start telling them if they have an issue with the grade, they need to talk to one of us. And we tell them all the time, if you're nervous about it, you can email us. I need to speak to you. Is there a good time? We'll get back to them. And then it kind of eases them in. Some students are great at self-advocacy and others need to be pushed just a little bit. But it's a skill that should be learned, especially before they go off to high school. Our Google Classrooms are all very similar. We have a stream where we will put important announcements. We have a classwork tab that we will put in what it says, classwork, homework, daily work, and we all run them slightly differently, but they are very similar, and every student is now in their Google Classroom. Last year, it was the only avenue we used, but this year, now that we're able to pass paper, it will go back and forth, okay? Yeah, so I think that's covered everything there. Next one, Mrs. Kolvinskis.
Hi, parents. I'm Lucinda Kolvinskis. I teach language arts. With a brand new school, it can be sometimes a little bit confusing about, who do I contact for which purpose? So we provided this slide for you that's hopefully helpful. If you have a concern or a question about a specific class, like if it's just science or just social studies, the best plan is to just go ahead and contact that academic or unified arts teacher who teaches that class. If you have some type of social emotional concern about your child, or you need to share a family issue, The best route would probably be our school counselor or our school nurses. We also have a support counselor, Erica Graff, and a clinical interventionist, which is brand new this year, Katie Bond. If you need to inform the school about an early dismissal, an absence, or a vacation, like a little mini vacation, the best route is the main office. If your child is absent, they should be bringing notes in for their absence. So if you can just write a note, it sounds a little crazy. You would think it would all be digital now, but they still want a handwritten note, and your child can just bring that to their first period teacher. In addition to that, if you would like your child to be dismissed early for whatever reason, they also must bring a note to that first period teacher, and that first period teacher will give them a pass. And then finally, if you just have a general question or a general concern, it's just kind of like something overarching, nothing really too specific, you could contact our team leader, which of course is Marnie, your child's advisory teacher, or the grade 6 administrator, which is Justin Gussie.
Thank you. Now we're going to hear from Mr. S, who is this gentleman up top, a brief and Miss Graff and Miss Bond. Hope it doesn't echo. Or I hope you can hear him.
Hi, my name is John Sikowski. I am a 6th grade counselor here at KP Middle School. I'm coming from Hall High School. I worked for the past 7 years. I look forward to working with you and meeting with you.
My name is Erica Graff. I'm the support counselor. I'll be working with students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, working on college and career readiness and family engagement. I look forward to meeting you.
Hi, I'm Katie Bond. I'm the clinical interventionist here at King Philip Middle School. I'll be working with grades 6, 7, and 8, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you.
All right. Back to the meet. Sorry, technical difficulty. Subject presentations. Here we go. And Mr. S actually ran a class during my science classes because I fortunately get to see every diamond on the team. And his lesson was great. And I loved the words that he used. He said, if a student is ever feeling mad, bad, glad, or sad, and just wants to talk to him, great. And we've been talking a lot about feelings and emotions. And if you feel bad or mad, you have every right. What we don't have a right to do is act out about that feeling, but go right to him and talk it through. And he was just, his gentle demeanor was great. In fact, we had like 10 kids sign up that day, I think, just to go talk to him and meet him. And it was very cute. So science, I also, fortunately, am a lot of the students' first time getting science every single day, unless they went to Smith STEM or another school, or I'm learning other countries that are coming in. 6th grade is basically the first exposure to all the different sciences. So I teach a lot of different units in a general sense. And then when they go on to 7th grade, they get a general cells and biology, and then 8th grade more of a generalization on physical science, and then by the time they get to the high school, they get one subject all year. So what I do, and we're learning right now, are the science process skills and measurement tools and units of measurements, and we're switching over to metrics because the world talks in metrics. So in order to communicate scientifically, we have to understand metrics. So we're just wrapping up the month of September with the quiz tomorrow. Any student listening, right? And then we're going to get into matter and chemistry and ecology and meteorology, climate change, geology, and astronomy. But within those units, we will refer back to the process skills and measurement skills and graphing and making conclusions and inferences based on those conclusions. They'll say, I didn't know this was a math class when we do graphs, or if I bring in fact and opinion or cause and effect, or what's your evidence for that? They're like, I didn't know this was a language arts class. So, you know, it's great that within the science curriculum, we do get to talk about everything. When Miss Asel does the human impact on the country, the human part, when the world goes through meteorological instances, we connect and talk about it with that. So it's really about making the connections for the students.
All right, so I teach 2 levels of math in 6th grade. I teach an honors course and I teach a standard course, so I'll try to keep it brief for those of you. The honors math study, it consists of all of the 6th grade topics plus half of the 7th grade topics, so the speed is a lot quicker. We use a lot of 5th grade skills. You should know them pretty quick, okay? Fractions, decimals, their math facts should be readily accessible for honors. Standard math, I teach all of the 6th grade curriculum to them. I go at a slower pace, and there's more opportunity for review and practice from previous grades. The grading system for the 6th grade that we've come up with is we're going to use a point system again this year like we did last year. Primarily consists of classwork, homework, and assessments. Homework is a pretty big thing. It will be assigned nightly. I use a couple different resources. One, your child has a workbook. That workbook, I think it's about $20 if it's lost to replace it. I had them write their name on the bottom of it. They may write in it. They only have volume 1 right now, but there is a volume 2 that will come home halfway through the year. The other resources that we use Khan Academy, so they could watch videos and practice repeatedly, and iExcel. There's different goal levels. For honors math, we use a goal level of 90, and for standard math, it's a goal level of 80. And homework can vary.
I'm sorry. That's
okay.
YouTube.
Am I good?
Yes,
Still?
sorry.
Okay.
That
That's all
was
right.
me.
I'll wait for it. Assessments, we've been doing some quizzes. Those are based on points, kind of like mid-check-ins. They did a great job on the first one. We'll have a mid-unit assessment and an end-of-unit assessment. If it's a smaller chapter, it'll just be an end-of-unit assessment. And we'll practice in class. Helpful resources for you at home. YouTube, if you're not sure how to do something and you don't want to be embarrassed, just tell your kid like they do, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Bring your phone or device, look it up, watch the video, preview it, go out and you can be a rock star. Khan Academy has a lot of free resources as well. His voice is a little dry at times, in my opinion, but he does get the point across. It's a little bit lengthy. So if you also want that and you have a little more time for quiet time, you can use that. And iExcel is a lot of practice. I know some of you will probably reach out to me and say, they got to an 80 and they got one wrong and it dropped them down to like a 56. So they start off at 0 and it quickly jumps up because they start off at like a more basic skill and then it builds up. So as they get higher score, they have to have more stamina to be able to reach that score. Now a goal is 80 and I've told the kids in standard, like your goal is 80 and honors is a 90. A goal is something that you try to achieve. You may not get there, but you try to work for it and you strive for it. If it becomes frustrating and you're like, this is the best I can get, then that's when you did your best and you kind of tap out and you time out. A lot of kids have been great reaching out to me. I did have them use the inside of their notebook. Miss Quadro can shake her head in agreement with me. We wrote down all their passwords. As I told them one night, I came home before my daughter's practice and I said, I got 28 emails before 4:30. I don't know my password. It's like, well, this isn't going to happen again. So inside their math notebook, on the back cover or the inside cover, they have how to get into iExcel, how to get into Khan Academy, how to get into their iReady account, the directions, their username, and their password. So they should all have it written down. People who are absent, I told them, I think it was 2 that day. So it's 2 people that get a freebie on that for a write-up. Any questions, you can always email me. That's the best method of communication.
Thank you, Miss UP and Miss Klavinskis.
Miss UP, I like your Bitmoji on your slide. That was cute. All right, English language arts. So independent reading expectation is really just the same as it has always been in elementary school. They should be reading for a minimum of 30 minutes, 5 nights a week. They should have, we call it an IRB, just for short. We tend to use a lot of acronyms in middle school, but that just stands for independent reading book. It should come to school. It should go back home, kind of back and forth. The intention is really to finish each book. I find sometimes kids like to read like little appetizer plates of books, like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We really are trying to get them to stay with a novel, finish it so they can really see the whole plot progression of a text, the beginning, the characterization, the setting, the plot, the climax, text, the resolution, etc. So that's really our goal. They also have like independent reading logs for when they finish a book, and that's going to be ongoing throughout the year. And they feel really accomplished and proud of themselves when they finish a text. They also have learned to take out a book with our online, our virtual kind of library with Sora and Epic. So I really love it for the time that a child says, oh, I left my book at home. Well, I can say, all right, either take something out from my library right in the classroom, or just go ahead and pick up or open up Epic or Sora and you can read something there. We do a lot of reading and a lot of writing throughout the year. In terms of reading skills, your typical reading strategies, typical reading skills like making inferences. Right now, we're focusing on direct and indirect characterization to analyze characters, conflict, both internal and external, vocabulary, more so in terms of using context clues to determine the meaning of new vocabulary, and analyzing figurative language. So we get into personification, that's the best, right? Similes, metaphors, hyperbole, all that kind of stuff. And then in terms of writing, we do a lot of writing about our reading. So we will write about our independent reading novel. We'll write about the short story that we've read or the classroom novel that we're reading in class. But the main skill is really focusing on elaboration, organization, and fluency. We are really working right now on using evidence from the text to support our analysis and conclusion. Sometimes the kids get really sort of stuck and confused about how to use direct textual evidence, like with quotation marks, versus just evidence from the text. So we're really working on that right now so that by the end of the year, they've mastered that. And the three writing styles, the essay writing styles will be narrative, expository, and argument.
Nice. Chock full. Your children are getting a chock full education. Social studies, Miss Aisel.
Okay, so in social studies is actually a 2-year course for 6th and 7th grade. It's world regional studies. So basically we cover the parts of the world that you can see there: Middle America, the Caribbean, Europe, South America, parts of Africa. And then when they reach 7th grade, they start taking a look at other parts of the world. Our major themes this year: migration, we've already started talking about. We also take a look at human-environment interaction. So how do humans impact the environment? How does the environment impact humans? Population, we'll be studying population and the distribution of resources. Research skills is something that they'll be working on in social studies all the way through 12th grade. We started this year, we've already begun actually with writing claims and with gathering evidence. And we will do probably around 5 or 6 small research assignments throughout the year.
Thank you. World language, Miss Minogue.
Okay. Whether your student takes Spanish, French, or Chinese, all of the focus throughout the world language department is on proficiency, which might be a little different than if you took a language in school. You probably remember conjugating verbs and focus on grammar and irregular verbs and rules, and it isn't so much the focus anymore. Now we look at how well can you communicate? Can we understand you? So it's based on national standards, and we look at and you'll see in our PowerSchool that Ms. Pauls talked about earlier, all of us have the same grading system, and we assign tasks based on interpretive tasks. So interpreting language, reading and listening, and producing the language, productive tasks. And then a little more grammar focused is content knowledge. So you might hear your student talking about conjugating verbs, but more likely they're able to use in context a phrase or something that they can transfer that they've learned in class to another situation, and not necessarily understand what they're doing by doing that, which is a much more natural way to acquire a language than to study the grammar rules and then try to apply them when you're in a conversational position. We all also look for a commitment to learning, and that is a small part of the grade in the grade book. It's 15%, but we're looking for the effort. Like when you show up to class, are you there to try to use the language that you're studying as much as you possibly can? Are you volunteering? For a lot of our students, it's the only time that they have to practice that language in our classroom. So are they really using their time well there? So again, focused on proficiency rather than grammar, and it's done within thematic units. So that part is probably similar for all 3 languages. Basics of greetings and weather and sort of everyday conversational things, talking about yourself and what you like and what you don't like and your family and your activities. But the focus, again, isn't so much on lists of vocabulary or grammar rules. It's on expressing yourself. So a little different way than what we were used to maybe when we went to school.
Yes, I remember conjugating verbs. Anybody? A-R-I-R-E-R.
Yeah.
Yes. We have our 2 resource teachers down the 6th grade hallway is Ms. Quadro, who is in this meet, and Ms. Condon for Topaz team. And do you want to speak on anything, Ms. Quadro? I thought I heard you open up. No?
Well, I specifically service students with IEPs on the Diamond team, and Ms. Condon, she case manages students with IEPs on the Topaz team, but we both see students from each team. So your son or daughter may see Ms. Condon, but I am the case manager of students with IEPs on the Diamond team. And we work collaboratively, and you know, it's a very individualized program that your son or daughter may have. So if you have specific questions about that, you would need to email Abby or I individually.
Thank you. And if anyone has, before we get to questions in the breakout sessions, I do want to talk about one thing, because for some reason today I had 3 questions. So out of 102 diamonds, you know, it's not that many, but that means if 3 were talking about it today, it might be 6 tomorrow, 12 by Monday. They're talking about lockers. So I know for us, we think just give them a lock, let them lock their stuff. What we've lived the past, you know, however long we've been teaching here, our 6th graders either get it or they don't. The right, left, go twice, right? And when they don't, it's stressful and anxious. But the part that makes us hesitate to give the locks right now is that it creates a crowd around the locker, and we're still trying to keep mitigation strategies of being separate. But, you know, I can bring this up at team leader group. We can talk about it. If a child desperately wants a lock, you know, we can talk about it. There's wiggle room. It depends on what the mitigation strategies are. And I know for now it's still 3 feet apart. If you work in groups, no longer than 15 minutes, and you have to be apart, keep your mask on, things like that. So we are watching it. I hear the students. I know they want to start to put stuff in their locker. There's cameras all up and down the hallway. They said, are they going to steal my stuff? And I heard one little girl today say, I've had my colored pencils in there since the beginning of September, and they stay there. So it's cute. They can put their water bottles, their big bulky jackets. It is great to have them carry their backpacks with the laptop. It's really great, but I do see some of these are super heavy. So they're starting to put maybe their math book in their locker if they don't need it for a certain time. So we are talking about it. I don't want you to think that this is it for the rest of the year, but we'll come back to that topic, okay? So unless we have a pause to see if there's any questions you want to type in the chat, that's good for the whole group. And if not, we can go to breakout groups.
I'll just post the Google Classroom homework code.
Okay. Yep, it was on the slide. And for those of you just joining, this is being recorded, so you can watch it in its entirety at a later time. All right, I don't see any questions. So parents and caregivers, if you go to your email, I sent you an email that I believe it should have posted around 7. So it probably just did. If it's not there, refresh your page. And all of the breakout sessions are there. So Mrs. Aquadro and Ms. Minogue are going to be in a breakout room. Miss UP and myself are going to be in a breakout room. And Mrs. Kalvinskis and Miss Asel are going to be in a breakout room. So this will conclude our large group. Oh, we have a question. Do the students have, woo, I got all excited. Do the students have the ability to interact with other teammates? Yes. During advisory, we do have time to go outside. So they get to see Topaz and Opal, 6th graders, and at lunch. We are able to utilize so much space. They're so spread out this year. We've increased teacher coverage, admin coverage, TA coverage, UA coverage. So we do have the large calf, the small calf, what's that area called? Fishbowl. I call it the fishbowl. It's an outside area.
Courtyard.
The courtyard. Thank you. Yes, way nicer than fishbowl. Courtyard. We have the 6th grade gym, and then outside of the 6th grade gym. So we have 5 areas that 3 teams can go to, and they do get to see Opal friends and Topaz friends. And they can see them in the hallway if they're here from 7:40 to 8. They can see them, wave the buses. So they do get to wave and see each other. That was a good question. Can students leave instruments in their band locker? Absolutely. And Joe Gansey encourages it. I have a couple students that come in if they're kind of late to period 1. They just stack them in the corner over here and pick it up before Learning Lab. I don't have a problem with that. Students do put them in their locker, but if they're large, they absolutely are asked to use the lockers in the band room. Yes. Do students have, you want to take this one, Ms. Kalvinskis?
Yes, we are encourage the students to go to the library whenever they can. I try to take them as a class pretty often, but even within my class, if we're doing a lesson, a mini lesson, and then a group work and then independent work, there's always kids that say, oh, I need to get the next one in the series. Can I go down to the library? And I always encourage them to do so. In addition to just my classroom, though, they can go during advisory, they can go before lunch, they can go after lunch, before the first bell rings, when they get to school, after school, and Learning Lab certainly as well.
Abby, try to refresh your page. I sent the breakout links to all of the emails that were in my group contact. If you've been getting the Friday emails, that was the email that I used. I can find it and send me. Is anyone else having a problem? Okay, let me look. Let me look at my scheduled. Oh, because it starts at 7:10, so I had it for 7:10. So let me cancel my send and I'll send it right now. Here we go. Send. Perfect. Okay. So if we don't have any further questions in the chat, just 2 more quick things. Please check your email for the breakout rooms. They did just get sent. And also being sent to you about 7:20 is a survey, like I said in the beginning, and it's just quick. If you attended, yes or no. So everyone's going to get the survey. And if you have any last minute questions that you thought about over time, okay? Jason, yes, if you'd like to, that would be great to hop from breakout room to breakout room. That's where we'll be. So if you think of a math or science question, pop into ours. If you think of a language arts or social studies, you can pop around. We will be in there till 7:30. Okay? So with all the assignments, can't read the rest of that. Somebody want to take Emily's question in the chat? Let me look at the chat again. Oh, here we go. With all of the assignments being done online, how do the kids get access to their work across a week unit to study for their quizzes or tests? Anna, in the classwork in each Google Classroom are most assignments placed. I know I categorize mine by the week they were learned, so it's chunked out by week, and they're very specifically labeled. I'm not sure how others set up topics, but if they have to study for something, they're either under classwork tab in Google Classroom or a piece of paper that was handed out in class, and therefore it would be in their subject section of their notebook or binder. And Miss UP saying math students use their workbook and math work folder to review. Okay, well, thank you for coming to the large group presentation. You're very welcome. We are going to see you in our breakout rooms. And Ms. Shu announces it. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.